Hey, how are ya? Hey, how are ya? Hey, how are ya?
Count. Only thing the crib don't got is a fucking fountain, so I need a fountain. So we so high up that I feel like I live on a mountain.
Welcome to another edition of Leaders Lead, Winners Win. I'm your host. My name is Cody Adams. Look, we started this channel, Leaders Lead, Winners Win, a couple years ago in hopes to help folks in the leadership realm and then also in the sales realm, hence Leaders Lead, Winners Win. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, but I do need your help. If you can do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at Mr. Cody Adams or at Kinfolk Home Loans. I happen to be the CEO of that company. Or I should say, please do me a favor. Like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend that you think would benefit from hearing it. I'd really appreciate it. Our team would definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Pastor Rob. We'd appreciate you very much. We're going to get right into it. Look, I've had the pleasure, the honor, this distinct honor and pleasure of leading folks for the better part of the last decade. In 2015, and you've heard my story if you're not new. If you are new, here's a little bit of it. But in 2015, I was thrusted into a leadership position, and I wasn't really ready. I was nervous. I was scared, and I made a lot of mistakes over the last decade being a leader of people. And I've also made a lot of right decisions. I've also made a lot of great decisions that have led me to the position of owning my own company and having this channel and having some sort of following or regard humbly. And I heard something recently, and I wanted to share it with you, and then I want to get into the topic. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said, "Hey, find something that you would do for free. Call it work, and you'll never, ever, ever, ever have to feel like you're going to work again." And I feel that way with leading people. The first thing that came to my mind was I would lead people for free. I do this for free. This whole channel, this setup is all self-funded. It is not to get any clout or fame. It's not to bring attention to our company. It's not to bring attention to me or to my social or to my ego. I don't care about it. I'm here just simply to help and spread information and lessons learned that I've had over the last decade. But I do this for free, and that's why literally for at least the last 2 years as I've worked for myself, I feel like I'm not working. I'm just here helping people, and that's really what it's all about. Same thing with this channel. So I wanted to share that with you today. I get to talk about my favorite topic, which is leadership. And I was thinking about what makes up a great leader, what I look for inside of hiring maybe a leader, or what I look for internally from our guys at our company and how I would like to promote them. And what I came up with is 8 keys of leadership. And I'm going to go through them systematically. You might want to bust out a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to go through these things in hopes that you can build a resume if you're an entrepreneur, or somebody that has hopes or aspirations of being some sort of leader within inside of an organization, in the community, in your family. I really don't care. You can be a leader anywhere. So I'm going to go through these 8 keys of leadership. By the way, I was just kind of driving with my fiance and our daughter, and this is, we had some quiet time because, obviously I like to drive, is what it is. I really do. They like to sleep, right? So we had some quiet time. I was listening to Alex Hormozy. Shout out to him, the king, the GOAT. And I was thinking about this, and I was writing some things down, voice to text. I'm not going to text and drive. And I wrote some things down or voiced some things down that were of my opinion. The first key to leadership, in my opinion, what I look for within inside of a human being to lead people is perspective. Someone that can relate, someone that can empathize, and someone that's been through some shit in life, that's actually had some trials and tribulation and some adversity that they've gone through, came out the other side, learned a lot along the way, and then can relate to or teach those lessons. And look, I get it. I get maybe you haven't gone through a lot of hard times or whatever the case is. It's okay. Maybe it's just not your time to be a leader. But the first thing I look for, and again, these are not in any order, but this is probably the most important to me, is perspective. Can you draw from a memory, a situation, a harder time in life, document the things that you went through to get out of it, and then show people how you did it so that they can get out of that situation as well? Again, some sort of relation and so on and so forth. Because remember, everything in life, Ed Milet says it's the best, happens for you, not to you. You realize that you never really lose in life. You either win or you learn. And one of the biggest leadership mistakes or faults is making the same mistake twice. Remember, you win or you learn, you never lose. And remember, again, you can't make the same mistake twice. So if you can learn from it, leverage perspective, then teach it, I think that's important. The other thing from a perspective is if you don't have any stories, you're never going to get any stories. So like when you're in a one-on-one conversation or someone's bringing you something that you need to handle as a leader and make decisions on, or in the time of crisis and the chips are down, are you going to deliver? If you don't have any stories or any things you can look back on, you're not going to be able to give those stories to get stories out. A big frustration, I would say, for leadership across the board happens to be not being able to get the best out of somebody, but not only that, but also get in close quarters and get close with and have an incredible relationship with their people. They're cold. And I think one of the reasons is because those are okay leaders, but great leaders can give a prospective team member or a team member in general or one of their people a story, and then that person can then relate because of perspective and give them a story of similar nature. So again, you give a story, you get a story. So perspective, being relatable, having empathy, that's number one for me. That's the number one trait or characteristic that I look for inside of a leader that either I'm promoting or I'm hiring on or that I try to possess personally. Remember, all of these things I try to possess or I'm working on constantly. Remember, the greatest people of all time, the best of the best, walk this line between arrogance and humility. They understand when it's important to be arrogant or to be the most confident person in the room. They also understand when it's time to learn and shut their mouth. Okay? And this is one of those where these 8 keys of leadership, these are all things that I'm shutting my mouth on and I'm trying to learn along the way. I think I do a pretty damn good job, but I want to share these things because it's also things that I'm working on. The second point, number 2, initiative. Okay? What do you do when nobody asks you to do anything? Nobody asks you to come in early or stay late. Nobody asks you to create a CRM. Nobody asks you to call a client for somebody. Nobody asks you to create the team shirts. Nobody asks you to run a report for somebody. Nobody asks you to create a new sales play. Nobody asks you to run some sort of marketing gamut. What are you doing when no one asks you to do shit? What are you doing when no one's around, right? And maybe the ownership or the leaders that are your leaders are out. Maybe they're on vacation. Are you taking initiative and are you actually running the show? Are you waiting for their beck and call? Are you texting them, emailing them all the time? Or are you taking initiative to lead the show as if it were yours? You know, I think about initiative. I think about broken windows. Every business has different areas of opportunity or chinks in the armor. Are you able, with a discerned eye, with an eye and a perspective lens of ownership, where you can look at something and say, man, that's broken. I'm going to go take some initiative and go fix it, right? Understanding that maybe your business is doing incredible things, or you're maybe a sales manager and the business is flourishing and rates are low or premiums are down, or the cost, that you're working for some sort of retail store and they're doing a huge badass sale and it's not really needed, but are you looking for those broken windows to enhance the process, even further, remembering to yourself that you can be always grateful of the opportunity in the situation, especially when things are going well, but then you're never satisfied with the outcome. That you're obsessed with making things better. I think of initiative, I think of something like, look, your day-to-day might be making telephone calls and prospecting and so on and so forth. I think of, and maybe you have aspirations to be a leader, or you want more of a role or some sort of responsibility inside of the organization. Are you taking initiative inside and outside the office to get better? It's important that you understand that your 9 to 5 is just one aspect of your life. What are you doing from 5 to 9 for those 4 hours? Are you going home watching Netflix? Are you learning ChatGPT and AI? Are you learning how to code? Are you learning, are you watching YouTube videos on X, Y, and Z? I don't know what it might be. Are you listening to podcasts? Are you reading books? Are you gaining the skills necessary? Are you on masterclass learning from the greats? Are you listening to this show? You probably are. So thank you for taking initiative. What are you doing between the hours of 5 and 9? Because you're 9 to 5, just you want to get noticed. Hey, look at me, I did this. No, what are you doing outside of work? Because it's just as important to work on your business and on yourself than it is to work in your business and inside of your scope or realm of work. It's just as important, if not more important. Hence why I got a couple things right in front of me. One's the Holy Bible. I'm wearing a Yeshua shirt, believe in Jesus Christ. I also believe that you can learn great things. Hormozy's right here. Andy Frasilla's books. We have hundreds of books here in the office and more at home. But are you getting better? Are you taking the initiative to grow as a human being? So number 1, perspective. Number 2, initiative. And number 3, again, not in any order. There's 8 of them. You grab a pen and paper, grab some water, figure it out. Decision making. One of my buddies, he's a doctor, and I heard him say something. I apologize if it offends anybody. It's about time. It's about 15 minutes or 10 minutes into the podcast. It's about time we offend somebody, if you know what I'm talking about. But he said one time, what does my name tag say? And it says MD. And he said, well, what do you think that stands for? And it says, and he said, the person says, I don't know. He says, mine says MD for make decisions. Yours says RN for read notes. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, but he did say that live. But can you make decisions and deliver when the chips are down? If things are happening around you, are you making the right decisions for the greater good of the people and not yourself, or maybe emotionally because you care about your people for 1 or 2 people, but again, the greater good? You have to really understand that through perspective and through vision and and who you are as a leader, your makeup, your leadership DNA, you have to trust your gut and your intuition most of the time. I was hanging out with Matt Ishbia. I'm not trying to name drop, but he's one of our, UWM is our biggest partner right here. And I got invited to something really cool. It is a top 25 brokers. It was a mastermind. And he said, look, I'm making decisions based off my gut, based off of what I know. I don't care about the data. I'm not looking at data then making decisions. I'm making decisions, then justifying those decisions with the data. And you know what? 8 out of 10 times I will be right. 8 out of 10 times. So at an 80% clip, it's a pretty good life. It's a pretty good life. But again, the greater good and the vision for the company moving forward, not selfish, not 1 or 2 people, not your leadership team, but what is 40-year-old Cody going to say? What is 40-year-old or 10-year Kinfolk Home Loans going to say? What does this leadership channel look like on YouTube in 2030, right? 6 years from now, the greater good moving forward. And here's an example. We actually recorded a very similar podcast to this about the 8 keys of leadership. And we got done and we didn't feel right about it. And we took it home, we listened to it, and Rob said, look, man, I think we record it. It was unprofessional, it was sloppy, I sounded tired, and it wasn't good. Frankly, it just wasn't good. So we made a decision, instead of just producing content for you to consume and being quote unquote consistent, sending a podcast out per week, we made a decision to trash it, spend another week preparing and going through this. Hopefully you can tell, and delivering a product that's just much higher quality. But again, understanding we had to make that decision, even though we wasted an hour of our lives plus, for the greater good of our brand and what we're trying to produce from a product perspective. I also think of decision-making, and unfortunately, we have to understand that decision-making, you need to tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. You need to be extremely transparent in your decision-making process. A lot of the guys, especially in my world, whether it's pay or whether it's a certain lead flow in the mortgage world or whatever the case is, they're not transparent. They don't tell their people why they're making said decision. They just make the decision, tell them to go do something, and they don't give their people the why, which creates distrust. Transparency creates trust, and arbitrage or mystery, albeit there's margin there, albeit you are the boss or whatever the case is, it creates distrust, and that's just something we don't want to have. It's important to be transparent. And look, I also think that when you're building a company or a sales team, or let's say you're in solar or whatever the case is, and you're trying to create some sort of identity, it's also important to bring in maybe a core group of guys and gals that you trust most, that share the same vision for the path forward for your team or your company, and have them help you make some decisions, gain their perspective, realize that you're the tip of the spear, right? You're the tip of the spear, but they can help you be the spear, right? They can be the handle and the glue and so on and so on. But you're ultimately going to make the decision, is my whole point. They can have their input. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Thank you for your info. This is how I feel. This is the way forward. And maybe one of their ideas is better than your idea. But all together, collectively as a group, humbly as a group, a decision needs to be made, and the best decision needs to be made. And maybe it's not from you. Maybe it's from someone else or a collective group. All right, number 4, range. I pride myself in this one. I think that I'm a fairly good range guy. And what I mean by range is, can you have a conversation with a client and then get pulled into a one-on-one with a team member that is frustrated and crying, or maybe is going through something outside the office, and then can you get on a conference call with a vendor and go through a demo on a new system that you might use, and then can you go have lunch with your wife midday to see her and to love her, and then can you go meet at a new spot because you're getting a new office, so you want to see what that looks like, and then can you go back and talk to a client again, and then can you go all in the same day? Can you then have the range of conversations that have to flow out of all of those different situations? Can you be present with inside of those situations and conversations, right? Because one conversation to the next, you're jumping with mental acuity and sharpness that's needed, that your people need from you, right? They don't need a tired, upset, carrying one conversation, the emotion load from one conversation to the next. They need the best version of you. So when I'm looking for someone, I need somebody to have range. I need somebody to listen to country music and rap. I need somebody that wakeboards and dirt bikes. I need somebody that can golf and plays badminton. I don't know, I'm making things up, but hopefully you understand what's needed when it comes to range. You got to be a jack of all trades and understand that through humility, you can still learn a lot of things and check your emotions at the door. You can have multiple conversations throughout the day. You're not a one-trick pony where you just motivate the group and you get on some sales calls. Like, you can do many things, but it takes practice. It takes reading and feeding your mind. And it takes you, again, through perspective, making a lot of mistakes. Don't be a one-trick pony. Gain some range. All right. Number 5. Number 5 out of 8, folks. Here we go. Discipline. When you're looking 8 keys of leadership, number 5, discipline. Do you have standards? Do the people around you know those standards? And do you hold those standards to be self-evident? Whether it's inside or outside of the office, I don't care. Do you honor your word? Do you finish what you have started? Or do you just kind of put commas everywhere? Yeah, I started this workout thing, comma. Or, yeah, I started this workout thing and I finished it, period. Yeah, we have this sales contest, but it kind of fizzled out, comma. Or, yeah, we have this badass sales contest and we saw it through, made some adjustments, and this was the winner, period. Do you finish what you've started? I also think of discipline a lot when it comes to this fork in the road. And, you face it every day. And it's this fork in the road that's yes or no. Do you have the ability to say no and stand up for what you've sought after or what you're going after from a goal perspective or a team identity perspective or a human perspective? Can your fat ass say no to the hoagie and the ho-ho? Or are you just going to say yes and you have those things or that beer or, again, that urge to not work out, that little bitch voice on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of your ear telling you to not do something? Do you have the ability to say, no, I'm not eating that, I'm not drinking that, I'm going to go work out right now and I'm not going to listen to said inner bitch voice? It's a fork in the road. And in an instant, your day can be changed. In an instant, you can have self-confidence and self-worth by saying, no, I'm not going to do that, or yes, I'm going to get my ass up and go do it now. Or you're going to lack self-confidence. You're going to be frustrated with yourself. You're not going to trust yourself. You're going to think of yourself as an undisciplined man or woman because you didn't follow through on your word and you let that inner bitch voice get to you. Discipline. Number 5. Again, 8 keys of leadership. Discipline's number 5. All right, number 6. Here we go. Creativity. Again, some of these are like, fuck, man. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good with perspective. I've been through some stuff. I'm a good decision maker. I need to work on discipline and range. I'm just not a creative guy, man. Yeah, I'm not. And the first thing I'd challenge you to think about is, one, that's a limiting belief. You can be whoever you would like to be in life. You can change at any time without asking permission. You can be whoever you would like to be in life. Again, you can completely change the outcome of your life just simply with your mind. So if you say to yourself, I'm not a creative guy or gal, I'm not. It is what it is. I'm vanilla plain Jane. Like, I promise you, there's some portion of you deep down inside, from the clothes that you wear to the color of your car, to the way you fix your hair, to the way you design your bed, to your creativity and knickknacks or whatever the case. There is some creative part of you. And whatever that is, you have to translate that into leadership. What do I mean by that? Well, number 1, you have to understand that people say things differently. So if I'm giving maybe my people, I'm just going to give you an example, a sales script, okay? and it's creative and it's fun and it's catchy and people are you're going to stand out amongst the crowd, you got to understand through creativity that your people aren't you, and they're not going to say the same shit that you say exactly how you say it. So you got to allow them some creativity or give them some sort of creativity based off their personality traits. We call this model and modify. The key points are hit. This is the creativity part. I need you to put it together. Said person, let me show you how to do it. Do you have a creative right brain? If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember which one it is. I'm not a biologist. I apologize, or an AP person. But are you somebody that can leverage and look at something and create your own? Do you have a vision when you close your eyes? Do you not just dream? Do you daydream about how your life can be? Do you daydream about what your team can accomplish, the houses they buy, the cars that they look at, the financial freedom they might have, the body that they want, the sales records that they want to break? Can you help them achieve that? Because remember, a leader in general is just somebody that gets someone to their goals that they wouldn't have gotten to without you, right? Like, my job solely as a leader is just to get people to places that they wouldn't go or get to by themselves. That's it. I'm here to bridge the gap. You're going to get 60% of the way there. My ass is here to get you another 30% of the way there, and then instill belief within inside of you that you can get the other 10. You get it? 60%, 30, and then I'm going to believe in you so much. I'm going to instill so much belief. You're going to get that extra 10. I'm going to bridge the gap. And that's the whole point. But the other thing I think of when I think of creativity, man, you guys are just, you suck with swag. And it's okay. Like, it's hard to be cool. And I mean this with all due respect, but like, there's a couple mortgage companies that are just, it's embarrassing that you don't have some sort of cancel or someone showing you or telling you that the shit that you're wearing just is not cool. I got to tell you, and other companies too, like, your logos suck. There's no creativity. There's no vision. There's no fun things about it. And all you got to do is just like Google stuff, or ask people what's trending, and you can get better. But a lot of your swag sucks, and part of being a great leader, people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be a part of something special. They want to represent something cool, and that you're gonna have to figure out some swag. Not only as a leader, like, do you have swag period, but I'm talking about swag as in clothes and hats and jerseys and t-shirts and knickknacks and logos and the way your office is set up. And I can go on and on and on, but you guys got to figure this out. All right, number 7, here we go. Bandwidth. Not to be confused with my friend range. Number 7 is bandwidth. Can you handle a full plate? I'm a firm believer that folks with a full plate do more, period, and can do more on top of that than folks with a half full plate. What do I mean by that? Folks with a full plate have their default setting that's a hell of a lot higher, their floor that's a hell of a lot higher than everybody else. It is what it is. People that can execute at a high level when they have many things going on are my favorite people, and the people that I'm going to promote, i.e. the 8 keys of leadership, the people that I'm looking for to bring inside of our organization and lead us to the promised land, which is being the number one broker, the number one mortgage company in the USA. That is our mission, vision, and goalpost, so to speak, or end zone. Now, that being said, I also believe that it's better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed and actually have some sort of, feeling in your gut that you need to move your ass faster. I feel like that urgency is second to none. That uncomfortable feeling that you get when you know you have too many things to do. It's good. It's good for you and makes you a better human being. Can you be a good bandwidth, right? Do I have the capacity? I want you to think bandwidth would be capacity to not only have that full plate, but not be stressful during that time. and be fully present at work and work while you're at work, and then fully present at home and be with your family at home? Do you have the bandwidth to do so? Do you have the mental capacity to do both? Can you be a good team member, a good leader? Can you be a good husband? Can you be a good father, brother, spouse, son, daughter, cousin? Can you be a good friend? Can you be a good influencer? Can you be many of things? Do you have the capacity to do so? All right, last, but certainly not least here, folks. Number 8, the 8 keys of leadership, communication. You knew it was coming. I saved it for last, not because save the best for last or any of that bullshit, but because, look, it's a buzzword, and here's the things that I look for that might be different from other folks, okay? One, I look for folks that can communicate direct with respect. It doesn't beat around the bush, but can have a conversation. I think about folks that I look for. I look for someone that can have great communication in public and in private. I think of folks, when I want a leader, I think of somebody that's going to give me feedback, whether it's through a needle or through a spoon, that doesn't play any favorites and has no click or no bias and communicates, again, for the greater good of everybody, that can clearly communicate. Now, look, I think I don't give a shit if you cuss or if you you think of things differently, or you have an accent, or you speak quickly or you speak slowly. I don't care. None of that matters. That's semantics. Can you communicate proactively rather than reactively? If you're a leader and I have to ask you where you are when you're 4 minutes late, 10 minutes late, that's a problem. That's a reactive communication. If I have to ask you what your plan is for X, Y, and Z, rather than you tell me what your plan is, X, Y, and Z, and you're not taking initiative proactively, back to number 2, that's a problem. Can you communicate direct with respect? Can you communicate great in public, great in private? Can you give feedback? One of our core pillars is sincere candor. Can you be candid with folks? Can you deliver through a needle and through a spoon? Those are my 8 keys of leadership. I'll go through them one more time. Perspective, number 1. Number 2, initiative. Decision-making, number 3. 4 would be range. 5, discipline. 6, creativity. 7, bandwidth. And 8, communication. Those are the 8 keys. That's what I look for. That's what you should look for if you're a leader or an entrepreneur looking to hire in. And that's what I'm working on right now. How do I become a 10 out of 10 on all 8 of those things? And if I can do that, I can lead my people better, my family better, my community better. And I'm really, really excited to continue to work on these things. Again, if you like this episode, if you got one thing out of it, please do me a favor and just share it. It means the world to us as we get shadow banned. I'm a little bit of a controversial person. I'm a little crazy sometimes, and I apologize, but I really don't, because I'm going to be authentically me, as you should be authentically you. But we get shadow banned and we're not getting a lot of traffic. I appreciate your help. With that being said, I love you. I care about you. Leaders lead. Winners win. Don't fucking forget it. Thanks.